All right, so everybody, thank you for joining. Wherever you're joining from, this is a celebration for my grandma. She might be your grandma. She might be a friend. She might be the neighbor down the street. You might call her Mondu, right? But this is for her 80th birthday. So for her turning 80, we said, let's have a conversation. We didn't want to do an interview, but let's have a conversation about her life. She's done so much in 80 years, right? People may not be aware of it, but she's my grandma. She's a pastor, a co-pastor, and she's so many things, but she's my grandma. And so today we brought her here to talk about her life at 80 years old. So grandma, please, if you don't mind, let the people know who Betty Doo is, if you don't mind, really quickly.
Oh, I am Betty Doo. I am 79. I will be 80, July the 18th, next month. I have lived in Wilson most of my life, not all my life, but most of my life. I was born on 902 Valley Street, Wilson, North Carolina, in 1941. As I grew up, I went to Sam Vick School we didn't have no kindergarten and all that. I didn't go to kindergarten. I just went to first grade when I started school. And that was down at Sam Vick on Reed Street, right beside the Reed Street Community Center. It's OIC building now.
Right.
But at that time, it was Sam Vick School. As I went to that school, I went there for many years. When I first started the school, I was by myself because I had a sister at that time. We were just two of us, myself and my sister, Dolores. She wasn't old enough to go to school yet, so I went to school by myself. And every day my mom had to walk with me halfway because I was kind of afraid. But as I got to know other people that came from my neighborhood and I would walk with them. In my neighborhood where I grew up at, there was a lot of people stayed in my neighborhood at that time. As I grew up, Mr. Satchel stayed on the corner. He was the music teacher for Darden High School at that time. He made the Darden High School alumni, alma mater. Yeah.
Was that a group? Was that a group?
Well, he made it a group. Yeah, they group sung it, but the whole school sang it too.
Okay.
It was a motto.
Oh, he made the alma mater.
Yeah.
That's what. Okay, got you.
And across the street from Mr. Satchel was a lady and a man, Mr. George Richardson, Miss Annie. Mr. George, he was a man that farmed, did a lot of farming, and his wife was. Mr. Satchel stayed across the street from us. They didn't have no children, so they always called me to go to store for them.
All right, so wait, before you continue, when you said we stayed, can you let us know who your mom was? What's her name? What's your mom's name? And what's your father's name? And let's talk about some of your siblings. So, because you said we stayed in, they might think that we was just your mom and and just you.
At 902 Valley Street, my grandmother, Addie Clay, and my mother, Beulah, we stayed there.
Okay.
For a long time.
So how many siblings do you have, Grandma?
At that time, it was just me and my sister and Dolores.
And that's your younger sister?
No, that's not my youngest sister. That's my sister next to me, Dean.
Okay.
Because, let me go back and say this.
Go ahead, go back.
My mother had 7 children, and I was the oldest.
Your mom had 7 children?
Yeah.
I don't think I knew that. Okay.
You didn't know that?
Not 7. I thought it was a smaller number. Just. Okay.
There was Aunt Dolores, my brother Tommy, and Dolores Tommy. Larry. Hattie Lorraine. No,
Hattie Lorraine.
Hattie Lorraine came after Tommy.
All right, so you and Dolores. Tommy.
Hattie Lorraine.
Larry.
And then
Barbara.
Yes. And
yes.
Smack.
So what was that family dynamic? Because I know growing up, you grew up in a household where you weren't only just the oldest sibling, but you end up being the mama.
Well, at that time, there wasn't a lot of work going on and there wasn't a lot of money to be made. So my mother said she was going to Baltimore, Maryland and try and find a job. Of course, that's where her daddy was, in Baltimore. His name was Larry Clay. He stayed in Baltimore because my grandmama and my mother was born in Jarretts, Virginia.
Okay.
In Jarretts, Virginia is when my grandmama left my granddaddy and came back to Wilson, North Carolina because he was a courting man.
What that mean?
He idolized women. He was a lover, woman's lover.
Okay.
So I think my grandmama found out that he had got another lady pregnant.
Oh my.
So she told me, so at that time when she found it out, she was about to kill him. So, but her best bet was not to kill him, but move back to North Carolina and get away from around him and his girlfriends.
Oh my. Girlfriends.
Yes, because he had more, yeah. My grandfather, he had maybe 4 or 5 extra children.
Okay.
By my grandmama, he didn't have nobody but just one. He had 2, but my uncle got drowned. My oldest uncle got drowned, maybe when I was 2 years old. So that left my mother and later on my uncle.
So tell me this, Grandma. The household that you grew up in, a lot of times when your sisters come home, they always say that Betty was my mama.
Yeah, because my mother left Wilson and went to live in Baltimore, Maryland. For maybe in, let's see, can I think about the date? Maybe somewhere around about in 1954. She went to Baltimore to look for a job.
How did you feel taking on that responsibility at that age? How old were you then, though?
Oh God, I was about 11 or 12, but I looked like I was grown.
Wow.
I looked just as old as my mom did at 11 or 12, and when I saw a picture of myself, I couldn't hardly believe it. But I was just as big as my mom was then.
So how did it feel taking on that responsibility at
taking care of my sisters and
Yeah,
brothers?
how did that feel?
Well, I guess I felt all right because whenever my mom went to work or my grandma went to work, they always left me in charge. Betty Jean, you take care of the house and the children. Don't let nobody come in here and do this, do that, and the other. So that was I felt like I had to do that, so that's what I did do. I took care of the house and the children.
At 12 years old?
At 12 years old, yes. And I did a good job.
Yeah, I believe it.
Yeah, I taught my sisters how to do right and everything. Except one time, my brother Tommy, we had a pot stove heater in the living. I said the living room.
Wait, what is a pot stove heater? What is that?
It's a round stove that you got to put wood in to stay warm.
Call it pot stove heater.
Yeah, that's why I call it.
Okay.
Because on the top of it, you can put a pot of coffee. Sometimes you put a pot of coffee later on in the day. Sometimes you could put a pot of beans up there and let them cook all day because you got to stay warm. So you put some coals and wood in that heat and it's going to stay warm.
Y'all was doing some hard work, ain't it?
Huh?
I said, y'all was working hard.
Yeah, that was hard.
That's probably why you look so old, because you're working hard, getting all the muscles on.
No, I ain't get no muscles.
But what you had?
No, I just was a little skinny girl, really. I was always small and skinny. I wasn't fat.
You weren't fat?
Never was.
So at 12 years old, Grandma, you're taking care of your siblings. At 12.
Yeah.
4 years later, what happens 4 years later when you turn 16?
I got married.
You got married 4 years later.
Yeah.
What was that transition like from 12, taking care of your siblings, to now 4 years later?
Well, my mom got sick in Baltimore. And when she got sick, she had to be in the hospital for a good little while. My granddaddy brought her down here to North Carolina, and she got in the hospital down here. But then somehow or another, She didn't stay in the hospital then. She had to go back to Baltimore. So she went back to Baltimore. And in the meantime, while she was in the hospital, my grandmama, she had to work, so I just kind of still helped along, with the children, making sure they went to school, had some food to eat, helped my grandmama along.
Okay.
But in the meantime, this man came along and just started chasing me.
Uh-huh. Now, what does chase look like? Can you explain what chasing means, Grandma?
Chasing me. That means coming over my house all the time.
Uh-huh.
Dating.
Uh-huh.
I call it courting.
Uh-huh.
But it was dating. He always wanted to come every day at 12 o'clock.
At 12 o'clock. What was so significant about 12 o'clock?
That was time. That was his lunch time when he could get off and come around my house and see me.
Uh-huh.
Well, he would come around to my house and see me. So one time I told Lois, I said, Lois, this man keep on coming around. I said, I ain't interested in him going off. So I went off to somebody else's house. And Lois said, Betty, George came looking for you. Where were you at? And I said, why? See, Woody was worried because she couldn't. I said, ain't no need for y'all to worry about me. He ain't my daddy. I just go where I want to. But he would come in and sit down and talk to my grandmother. And my grandmother really liked him a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And my grandma would sit down and talk to him. He said, yeah, Miss Hattie, I like Betty a lot. Blah, 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 blah. And I said, I really won't pay him that much. I was just squawk.
Mm-hmm.
But instead, he said, Betty, come on, let's go do so-and-so. So finally, my grandma said, well, Betty, you got to tell that boy to stop coming around here so much or something, because he coming every day. I said, she said, what he coming every day for? I said, because he want me to go off with him. And my grandmama said, is that what he want? I said, yes, ma'am. So one day we went out to his house. And going out to his house, he didn't have a car. He had a friend, and his friend was supposed to come back and get us, but he didn't come back.
Mm-hmm. So
then I said, George, I said, what you gonna do? I said, I can't stay here at your family house. He said, we gonna go to his house. Like, the friend stayed about maybe a couple of miles down the road, and we gonna walk to his friend's house, and this I got back home that time. So the next time, he said, I'm coming over your house tomorrow, and I want you to be home because we got to do something. I said, what we got to do? He said, you'll find out when I get there. That next day when he came, I went home that time. So I didn't see him till maybe a couple of days later. And a couple of days later, he said, Betty, so let's get married. And I said, get married? He said, yeah. He said, you ain't got to ask your mama. So I know how to do this or whatever. I said,
he said, I know how to do this.
I said, well, you can't ask my mom because my mother's not here, and my mom's in Baltimore, Maryland anyway.
Okay.
And he said, well, so your grandmama ain't gonna say nothing. I said, I don't think so. I don't know. But anyway, that's how I married him.
So pause right there. So at 16 years old, you get married. Now, for a lot of kids nowadays, at 16, they're just about to graduate from high school, maybe in the next year, 17. People having sweet 16s, they're having all these type of parties. But for you, what gave you the confidence, Grandma, to say at 16 years old, I'm ready to get married? What made you say yeah?
Well, because the situation at my home at that particular time wasn't so good, because my grandmama had to work and try to take care of all of us. My brother Tommy, he was kind of bad. He was trying to get out there and get in some trouble and stuff, and I would whoop him and make him not do it.
You was whooping your brother?
Yeah, I would whoop all of them. Yeah, we switched, yeah. And then I thought to myself, I said, well, if I marry this man, we can help my grandmama.
Oh, yeah. That's good idea.
Yeah. So
how old was he when y'all got married?
With my husband?
Yes, ma'am.
He was 28 years old.
Now, what in the world are you doing at 16 years old, marrying a 28-year-old man?
I don't know, but I did.
That's a grown man.
Yeah.
And you just 16.
Right.
But you was mature though.
Yeah. Very
So,
much.
so 16, you get married.
Right.
16, you like literally about to shift into another life. What was education? What was school like? How was that? Where was that in your life?
I was in 11th grade, so I didn't go back to school.
Okay.
I dropped out of school. And
Did you drop out because you got married?
Yeah,
Okay.
I dropped out because I got married.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't pregnant. I mean, you know, I didn't have to do it, but I just did it.
Yeah.
Thinking that the condition that in my home would be better. Thinking to myself that if I got married, that would help my grandmama a little bit more,
Yeah.
a little better. Because I know she was gonna work anyway because she loved her job. But it was the fact that if I got married, I could help my brothers and sisters kind of take care of them a little bit more,
Yeah.
you know. Because she went to work all the time and we didn't have nobody to babysit, so I was the babysitter.
Right.
Cleaned up the house, cooked food, and had everything ready for my grandmama. Well, of course, Lois, she was messing around and go to school like she ought to. She should have.
Right.
But everybody else went to school. Bob went to school. Tommy, he messed around sometimes. But everybody else went to school.
So, at that point, you get married, and you're thinking about this can help my family. Did it help?
Yeah, it did. I got married and moved, got my own house.
And where was that at? Where was your own house at, Betty
Out
Jean?
in the country.
So you were staying
Moved in the country, got to be a country girl.
So you were staying in the city in Wilson, and then you moved to the country. Okay, and got your own house.
Yeah.
At 16, wait a second. At 16, you had your own house.
Yeah.
You a bad woman.
Yeah. We moved in our house out in the country.
Some 16 years old
But
can't even buy their own food. I'm just saying. I ain't calling no names out.
At first, George and I stayed with his parents for a good little while. First year, we stayed with his parents. And second year, we stayed by ourselves out in the country. Called ourselves farmers.
Y'all was farming?
Yeah.
Okay.
But farming, to me, won't hit them nothing.
Okay.
Because we worked for all that year and didn't make no money. I couldn't even buy myself a new dress. Couldn't do nothing. Couldn't get no new shoes, nothing. So I told him, I said, look, George, this might be for you, but it's not for me. I'm gonna leave and go back where I came from. I said, cause I got to go, and I'm going out to start going back to Wilson and work, get my money where you get paid every day if you want to.
All right. Wait a second, Betty Jean.
Yeah.
So at that point, when you said that you moving back, how old was you then?
Oh, I was maybe
18, 19?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you even more mature?
Yeah. Yeah. So he said, you gonna do what? I said, you can start here in this country with this man you want to, but I'm gone.
Yeah.
I went back home to my grandma for a while. But then after that, he came and I said, I ain't gonna go back out there in the country and not no farm. I ain't gonna study at me that life. You can do that what you want to, not me.
Right.
So then he said, okay, what we do, we're gonna go leave and go to Washington, D.C.
Okay.
So we left Wilson and went to Washington, D.C. Probably around maybe about 1960, somewhere like that, yeah.
1960, y'all went to D.C.
Somewhere around like that, 59 or 60, yeah. Yeah, I went to Washington, D.C. and stayed up there for 7.5 years because I already had Rob, was born down here, but then I had 2 children there.
All right, wait, because you caught me for a loop there. I didn't catch that one. So in the midst of that, Uncle Rod was born.
Right.
Uncle Rod was born in Wilson. And then you had your second child was born where?
In Washington, D.C.
And who your second child?
Claudette.
Claudette.
And
Claudette Howard was your second child. All right, so what was that like? Grandma, you had twins.
Yeah, I did.
When did you have twins?
When I stayed in the country.
So they were first. Was it Uncle Rob first or was it twins first?
No, Rob first and then the twins, then Claudette.
Okay.
But what happened with me about the twins is that I fell out the back door.
Oh, wow.
while I was out walking there, just going out the back door for something, it fell out the back door. I think I was going out there to hang out some clothes or something. And I fell out the back door and I didn't tell nobody, and I really didn't go to the doctor, so I got very, very sick
Okay.
during that time. And when I got sick, I was gonna walk over to Anna Lee house because she stayed about 5 miles from my house,
Who was Anna Lee?
my mother-in-law.
Okay.
But I couldn't do it because I was so sick. So this man named, we called him Uncle Bud. His name was Mr. Blackwell.
Okay.
He said, girl, you sick, ain't you? I said, yes, sir. He said, you want me to go to tell Anna Lee to come over here? I said, yes, sir. So she came over. He went to Anna Lee's house. Got Anna Lee. Anna Lee came to my house. And when she came to my house, she called my grandmama, and my grandmama came and they took me to the doctor. Now the doctor came to my house out there in the country because I had the twins and I lost them.
Let's fast forward a little bit. So
Okay.
you had, at this point, you got Uncle Rob, Aunt Claudette. So who are the rest of your children? Can you name those?
Yeah.
That you
Cindy,
had, okay.
I had Claudette and Cindy in Washington, D.C.
Okay.
Then I came back home. We had a little incident that happened. I came back home to Wilson and had Anita Tootie.
Okay.
Came back home and had Tootie. Then I had Daryl. Then for a good space, then I had Tracy.
Mm-hmm. Tell me this though, because I don't know if you ever told me this before, but how did you deal with the death of your twins? How did you overcome that? Was it challenging for you at all?
No, not really. No, because I was really sick.
Mm-hmm.
So I just kind of had to take it easy for a while and recover from that.
Yeah. Did it weigh on you mentally at all, losing those twins?
No, I guess no, not really. I guess it was weight on him, George, more so than it did me, cause he kind of cried or something.
Mm-hmm.
And I told him, well, he said, well, he cried because he said I should have told him that I had fell out the back door,
Right. Okay.
so I could have went to the doctor.
Mm-hmm.
But then I said, well, at that time, I said, it's time for me to leave this time for me to leave out the country now.
Mm-hmm.
Too much going on.
Right.
So that's when we left and went to Washington, D.C.
So you go to Washington, D.C. now. So you got all these kids now, right? You got my mom that came a little bit further after. Now we're fast forwarding just a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
You have your first grandchild, Tanita.
Uh-huh.
What was it like, Grandma, looking at your kids? You have all your kids. Now you look and say, I got a grandchild.
Oh.
How did that feel for her to be your first grand when you looked at her?
Oh, man, that was wonderful to me. Fine, because Claudia had been a mighty fine person. She had worked, graduated from school,
Mm-hmm.
but having her first child. So with me, I ain't never tried to stop nobody from this, that, and the other. But so when she had her first child, there was a little incidents going on there, and I said, well, ain't nothing else to do but for take care of the baby.
Yep.
Because Tanita was a pretty baby.
Pretty baby.
Yeah. George thought, George wouldn't have had it no other way. He was proud of himself. His first grandbaby, and she was right pretty and plump and big. And he wanted to show off to her. He told everybody did. Claudette got that baby. I said, yeah. And he wanted me to take care of the baby, keep the baby. So I took care of the baby for a little while Claudette worked. And Tanita, sometimes she would be right bad. Sometimes I take my hand, tap her, stop doing like this, girl. And she had a big old mouth cry, yeah. I think about that now sometimes. I said, Lord, that Tanita was a crying girl.
Mm. So, Aunt Claudette, since you're here, can you tell the people how it was for you and how it has been, not just growing up with Grandma, but now being older and building a relationship, etc. Just your experience with her.
I was the oldest. I was 6. Well, I'm not the oldest. I have an older brother, but I was the oldest girl.
Right.
And being with my mom, it was like a lot of times it was just me and her when I was coming up, because my oldest brother, he lived out in the country with my grandparents.
Mm.
And by him living out there, he went to school, the country school, B.O. Barnes, where I lived here in Wilson with my parents. So at that time, my brother, Sidney, he was the youngest one,
Okay.
and Tootie was the baby.
Mm-hmm.
And I lived with my mom, and she worked. She worked, at that time, she was working in service. It was what they call service. And I would come home from school and do whatever she told me to do or whatever. And for a while there, before then, I was too young to stay at home, so I had to stay over her grandmother's house till she got off work.
And what was her grandmother's name?
Hattie Clay.
Hattie Clay.
Mm-hmm.
So Hattie Clay was your great
grandmama. She used to keep me until my mom got off work.
God. Hattie Clay was your great grandmother.
Yeah, my great grandmother.
And Hattie Clay stayed in Wilson.
Uh,
And Hattie Clay is who raised you.
right.
Wow. It's connection.
Until I got old enough to stay home
By yourself.
by myself with my brother and sister.
Yeah.
So I was kind of like she was. I took care of her while my mom and dad worked till
Gotcha.
they got home in the evening time.
Yeah. So let me ask this last question real quick since we have you on for this segment. What would you say is the most memorable thing or the most valuable thing that you learned from grandmother growing up? If you could just think back, this thing right here.
The most valuable thing I learned from my mama was to take care of yourself. Don't
Yeah.
depend on others.
Yeah.
If you want something out of life, you got to work for it. When I was growing up, my mother wasn't in church.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But she still took care of us, and the life that she lived in, we had fun. And then the life that she lived now, we have fun.
Right.
When she was out in the world, as you could say, partying and stuff, she didn't leave us behind. My mama partied right there at the house with us kids, dancing and running around her legs with her
Y'all had a party at home.
at home. And then when she got saved and in church, we went to church with her. And we sang in the choir, and we were right around her legs then. So that's what I remember. My younger brothers and sisters don't know nothing about that, but I
got
do.
you. Right. So there's a different connection there.
Yeah.
Different connection there. Okay. So on this 80th birthday, with grandma turning 80, for some people, they don't even see 80. Nowadays, some people don't even see 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. What does this year mean to you for her turning 80?
I'm thankful. It means that I'm thankful. I'm thankful to have my mother at 80.
Yeah.
And I always know if she turned 80, I'm turning 60. When she turned 90, I'm turning 70.
Right.
So that's how it is, because she had me when she was 20 years old. So
yeah.
I kind of keep that in mind. But I am thankful to God for having my mother. I cherish my mother.
Yeah.
And I thank God for my mother.
Yeah. So, Grandma, you said Tanita was your first grandchild, and she graduated from college. And as you looked at her, she had moments where she wanted to quit. What did you say in those moments?
No, girl, you can't quit no school. Your mama working hard trying to pay your way through, and she done paid all these thousands of dollars. This ain't no cheap stuff.
Right. Now, did she make it through when you told her that?
Who?
Tanita.
Yes. Did
you go to the graduation?
Yes. I sure did, yes.
You were proud of her?
Yes, I was. Yes, because she stayed with it. She stayed, somebody tell you, don't leave now, stay here and finish, try to do the best you can, but stay here and finish. And she did. And she did a good job, because she got some good grades. Yeah, she did. Yeah, I'm proud of her, yes.
And you look at her now, she done walked across the stage.
Done walked across the stage and got her own children and walked across the stage. Man, that's awesome.
Your first grandchild?
Yes, sir. My great-grandchildren.
Oh, you're right, because her kids, your great-grandchildren.
Yeah, my great-grandchildren, twins, at that.
Yeah.
And I still
Had to celebrate.
Yeah, man, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So we got Tanita here, and she's about to talk about what it was like being the first grandchild, being the grandchild that was able to stay with her as well, like a lot of us did, but to stay with her, first grandchild that stayed with her, and then on top of that, the support that she got Just like the story that my grandma just gave, I'm pretty sure she has even more. So Tanita, can you talk about those 3 areas real quick?
So, being the first grandchild in my grandmother's house, I had the pleasure of being with my grandmother as well as my grandfather, as well as with my mother. I also was with my Aunt Tracy. So we all kind of stayed together in one house. I was spoiled growing up. If my grandmother was cooking something I didn't like neck bones at that time, or oxtails or pig feet, my granddaddy would order me and my Aunt Tracy a pizza. So,
wow.
And that would be all the time. Whatever we basically wanted to eat, we got it. My grandmother would normally be in the kitchen cooking, and my grandfather would go to work, come back home, lay on the bed, and while grandma is cleaning or cooking, we're back there watching wrestling with our grandfather. And if grandma got on us, he will always say, hey, don't be, messing with them. Most of the time he was talking about myself, Tracy, and my cousin John. Yeah, JJ. So growing up, I mean, it wasn't a bad life. I did get in trouble. She would get after me with a switch, but that was a part of, correcting me when I was wrong and made me understand my errors as I got older. And helped me with my own children.
So this is the last question that I want to ask you. Growing up with grandma, she was younger then, right? A lot younger, a lot more vibrant. She could go run outside and get switches that were long as Shaq or Shaquille O'Neal, that were just as tall as him, probably. Get them long switches and she could run after you. But now she's a little bit older, and this year she's 79, but she's about to turn 80. What does this year mean for you with her turning 80? Because a lot of people sometimes don't see 21. I know Justin was saying some stuff earlier, talking about 18 and 81 and those things that we're looking forward to, but some kids don't see that age. So what does this birthday mean for you, for grandma?
For me, I mean, going back to growing up with grandma, one thing that I experienced was her transitioning from just a member of the church to actually becoming the elder or elders of the church. At that time, they called them elders, Betty did. Right. And I was there to witness her first sermon when she first preached.
Wow.
And so just seeing my grandmother, as me coming along, growing up in the church and then being active in the church, first being the church secretary all the way up into being elders of the church, and then now seeing her as a co-pastor of the church. Yeah. And now to some, she's an overseer of the church. That helped me from the time I was small up until the time of me now, seeing her through the years, how she has grown, how she has helped others, how she has helped me and impacted my life, with my children, teaching them to stay in church and understand to put God first. Right. And then just, her legacy shining onto me and my children and my legacy, which allows me as the first grandchild to shine that onto my cousins, my first cousins, or my second cousins, or my third cousins, and the legacy just continued to go on. Yeah. So her turning 80 just let me know that, live life to the fullest, put God first, and, just always, if you can, lend a helping hand, because growing up with grandmother, from the time I was born all the way up until her turning 80, I've seen her do nothing but give. She always helping people. Yeah. I mean, she may not have it, but she will go in the kitchen and scrape up some type of food and give it to whoever comes over and needs food. I mean, that's just who she is, and that's just how she raised me and how my mom raised me. I can't leave my mom out, but living with grandma and living with my mom, I can say that, and living with my Aunt Tracy, I can say that I really have grown up with some wonderful women in my life. Even my aunt Anita, who passed, they are just people that I can look up to. And I mean, even my great aunt Bob, I mean, she was someone, my great aunt Lorraine and my great aunt Ann. I mean, it's just a lot of people in our families that we can look up to say, hey, these are the women that we want to mold and shape and be like when we get older. And I think that I have been successful in doing that. Yeah. So we're talking about legacy. Legacy is where we are now with all of what they put inside of you. Now you are taking that, putting it inside of the next generation. Then the generation that's getting it is putting it inside the next generation. Right. So what you received from Hattie Clay, what you received from Hattie Clay is now going on to generations and generations.
Thank you, Hattie Clay. We ain't trying to have the dead raise up. But,
No, work like her.
but what to say thank you to Hattie Clay.
Yeah.
Because Hattie Clay put something in you as a young woman, 12 years old, but that's now impacting people, what, 40, 50, 60 years later?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
so
right.
legacy. All right, so Grandma, we are back for our last segment, and we want to talk about ministry, right? So before we
Okay.
talk about ministry, let's talk about your son. You have a son named Rob,
That's my oldest boy.
your oldest boy, who was in the Army,
Yeah.
right? Very successful in the Army.
Very. Yeah.
Then you had another son that was in the Army.
Yeah.
Sidney was in the Army.
Sydney. Yeah. Sydney died in a helicopter crash.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then you have another son that was in the Army,
No.
Air Force.
Air Force. Right.
And so how was that experience having all those sons in the military?
Right. It just made me kind of really proud of them,
Yeah.
knowing that they wanted to serve their country like that. You know, went in. I didn't make them. That's what they choose for themselves. So I'm glad that they kind of went in. That made men out of them. You know.
Yeah.
And well, once you're grown, and that was their life, whatever they wanted to do. So I was all right with it, you know.
And then you had a superstar that came through the ranks later in her career, almost like a civil rights leader,
Yes.
Aunt Tootie,
Yes. Yes.
who passed away from cancer.
Yes. Yes.
But she was powerful.
Powerful.
Yeah.
She was a superstar in her own right
In her own right, yes, ma'am.
because her husband, John McNeil, had killed a man down in Georgia. And they had put him in jail for life. Even in her sickness, because she had breast cancer,
Right.
she rallied. And we been all over North Carolina until she rallied and he came out free.
Mm.
He's out today.
Yes, ma'am.
She's going on with the Lord. I hope he's enjoying his life because he's got married again.
And she did wonderful things.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yes.
So tell us about this, Grandma. I know this is our last segment, but tell us about this. At the age that you got in the church, because we want to talk about your ministry now. You got in the church, and Tanita said something about it earlier, but you literally came through the ranks.
Yeah.
You started off as just a regular member.
Mm-hmm.
Then you started off as a secretary. Went to
No,
a secretary.
I was in the choir.
Oh, you're a choir member first.
Choir member. Yeah.
So-
Singing in the choir.
Regular member, choir member,
Mm-hmm.
secretary.
Mm-hmm.
From secretary, you went to a missionary.
Right.
Missionary, you went to a minister.
Right.
Minister, you went to an elder.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of like that. Missionary, elder. Yeah.
Elder to a co-pastor.
Uh-huh.
Co-pastor to overseer.
Right.
And overseer, you had, if I'm not mistaken, there are legal documents for overseers.
Right.
And you have certificates
Mm-hmm.
from, I'm not sure what the district name is, but from the district saying that you are certified.
Yeah, certified. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
How did it feel, Grandma, going through the ranks of church? I mean, what made you fall in love with church that way that you were okay with saying, I'll just continue to go and just soar and just progress?
Well, what I found out was that serving the Lord would pay off.
It'll pay off.
Yeah. It didn't make me wealthy, rich, or whatever, but it paid off for me because it gave me somewhere to go.
Yeah.
I was around good people. You know, you go to church and meet good people, saints of God. I have walked among some of the highest people that you could walk around because over there with F.C. Barnes, my goodness, you couldn't get no higher than that.
Right.
Yeah. Then just walking local. I probably have walked local with a lot of ministers.
Mm-hmm.
Talked to them. work with them. Main thing is working with people, how you get along with them.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And everybody's not gonna love you, everybody's not gonna like you.
Right.
But you keep your heart clear and you love the Lord.
Yeah.
You make it all right.
He'll make it all right.
Yeah, he'll make it all right. You
Yeah.
love the Lord. Do what you can for somebody else. If
Yeah.
I can help somebody along the way, then I know my living won't be in vain.
Yes, ma'am.
That's it for me.
So on this 80th birthday, Grandma, we've talked about so much tonight, but on this 80th birthday, what are you feeling? What are you proud of? What are you thanking God for? What is you
my
just rejoicing
God.
about?
Well, at 80, I can't even hardly believe it myself.
Yeah.
I can't, because it seemed like it came fast. I mean, I went through 60, easy 70. And I mean, and it's not that long, I'll be 80 years old. I just can't hardly believe it, that the Lord has allowed me to do all the things that I have done. When I look at my family, I see all the boys. Oh my God. All the boys, and I thank God, because all the boys, they not really haven't been no bad boys and got in a whole lot of crazy stuff.
Right.
But some kind of way or another, God has kept them anchored.
Anchored.
Yes.
Yeah.
When they want to do the right thing.
Even your grandson Brian been anchored.
Yeah, he gonna anchor him some more though. See, this is one thing
And Daniel.
Wait a minute. See, one thing that they don't realize, they got a praying grandma.
There you go.
The Bible says, pray ye for one another.
Yeah.
And I know how to pray.
And you've been praying for your grandkids and your
I
kids.
pray for my family.
Pray
What
for your
you
whole
talking
family.
about? Yeah. The Bible said, love your neighbor as yourself. I pray for my neighbors. What you talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. And sometimes I act a little bit cheesy, but that's okay. That's fine with me.
Yeah.
I ain't supposed to act like nobody else. I be myself. I act like the Lord want me to. Yeah. And I've gotten at this age now that my eyes, when God says see, I see. And not really just seeing, but the anointing that's in me, see. So I know.
Yeah.
You can't fool me no more. Can't fool me now. I'm getting too old to be fooled.
I see it.
Been too much crazy stuff. I've did some crazy stuff in my life. The Lord brought me through. So, you know.
So, Grandma, on this recording, whenever we watch it, whenever we play it, years and years, as you're still alive, we want to go back and watch this amazing conversation that we had tonight and wish you a happy, early 80th birthday.
Thank you.
From me, from your other grandchildren, from those that love you so much.
Yeah.
They call you overseer, they call you Mondu,
Yeah.
they call you Elder Betty,
Yeah.
they call you Betty Jean.
Yeah.
All of these titles. We want
Yeah.
to say happy early 80th birthday to you. And we wish you and we pray many more.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I just thank everybody for coming out at this particular time, taking time out from their busy schedule, spending a little time with Betty Doo. I just thank God for that.
Yeah.
You know, God has been good. God has been good to me, and I
Yeah.
truly thank Him. I mean, I find out it don't take a whole bunch of nothing. But as long as the Bible says where 2 or 3 are gathered,
2.
or 3, He'll be in the midst.
Yes, ma'am.
So it didn't take a whole lot.
Didn't take a whole lot.
Didn't take a lot. Maybe God just wanted me and my family. I don't know.
Never know.
Hey, you know. But I thank God. He's been good to me. And I have no complaints. I have no regrets. Because when I was a little girl, maybe 6 years old, I told somebody, I said, well, they said, Betty, do you gonna ever get married? I said, yeah, from when I get married, I said, I want the Lord to give me a white house with
Okay.
a white fence around it,
Mm-hmm.
and I want 4 boys. That's what I said then. But the Lord has allowed me to have a little brick house
Yeah.
I had 6 children, boy, girl, boy, girl, boy, girl. But now I got 4, so I'm still happy, and I thank God.
Yeah.
He's been good to me. Yeah. Got a whole bunch of grandboys, and I'm
Yeah.
glad. Yeah. 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 And I treat each one of them by their own way, personality. Yeah. I talk stuff to them sometimes. I let them know, hey, you ain't talking to no, you know what I'm saying? I'm grandma, but I done been there too. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. There ain't nothing in the world that you're doing that you can't stop when it's time to stop. You will stop.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
That was a good one, Grandma.
Yeah.
Hashtag.
Yeah. When God really wants to save you, he can do that. Don't never get it twisted.
Okay.
Yeah. See, I see everybody out here not doing their thing, and drugs and this and that, and I said, that's okay, God gonna get you after a while.
Mm.
If he wants you, he gonna get you. But if I pray right, I know he will.
Mm.
It's that fast and pray.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I know I got to do, fast and pray. Keep on praying for my family. Yeah. That they'll succeed in life, be successful.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Ain't nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
When you have your family, you know how to treat your children. Well, my grandmama did this and me, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I ain't did nothing but just love you guys, that's all.
Ain't nothing wrong with a little bit of love.
I ain't do no little bit of love, nothing. I just love the hell out of you and just say, call you a mean, some of you a mean sometimes. I don't come talk to me like that. Yeah. I keep it real.
You gotta love it out of us.
Huh?
You gotta love the.
Well, you see, I treat you how your personality is. See, I know you. You're a mighty fine young man.
Bless you, woman of God.
You're a mighty fine.
Bless you, woman of God.
But I know you got that. You got that stuff in you that you will. Right now too. You know I know that too. Yeah, honey. Yes, sir. That back there, he quiet. But them big eyes look at you and you catch him on, he'll throw you.
He'll throw you in a minute.
Yeah, he'll get you. Yeah. Mm-hmm. He'll get you in a minute. Yeah, I know all of y'all. But I treat you in such a way that, and I thank God for these. I treat y'all in such a way that you always want to come see grandma.
Yeah.
What my grandma doing? Hey, you seen grandma? Where she at? No. And that's love.
Yeah.
And I thank God for that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You can't beat that. You can't buy that. You can't buy that kind of stuff. No. Money can't buy it. No. When your family love you like that, you can't buy that kind of money. Money won't even buy it. Can't touch it. Because it's genuine and it's real. And I love the Lord because y'all love me and I love him first. Put him first and then put y'all next. Now let's go. Thank God. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
All right. All right. That's a close. Thank you for watching, everybody, whenever you will watch it. Thank you.
Yeah.
That was good, Grandma. You did your own little closing there. Outro.
Well, I wanted to.